Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 30 NSG. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Activision is already pulling Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 maps because of terrible spawns. And we're also going to talk about Activision warns Warzone cheaters it may cut their parachutes randomly and for fun. So if you like what we do here, make sure you hit that like button, and let's get to it. So the first article comes from IGN. They both come from IGN, and the very first one is Modern Warfare 3 is out today, November 10th. So this is after this article was written a couple days ago, and already Activision has had put a various multiplayer maps on the game out of the game because of the spawn points that were causing absolute carnage. Now, one map in particular was Quarry. When played the hardpoint game mode, was found that the spawn players are the same spot over and over again, letting the opposing team gun them down for fun. Okay, so you can see all that. There's a bunch of different clips there. Now, but Activision hasn't just pulled Quarry hardpoint playlist for unfavorable spawns. It also pulled Rundown, Scrapyard for the same reasons. And Activision removed Karaki from the Cutthroat playlist, while also working to resolve the issue causing a player to spawn alongside enemies. Before I even continue reading this article, I think this is asinine 100%, right? I don't understand, because I know a lot of people will come to the run to protect the Activision and Call of Duty because it's just such a good game, right? But how the hell in 2023 can we make a game where spawn points are this shit? How? How can we do it? How can they do this? How can someone that makes the same game every year with maps and spawn points and knows choke points and knows what's good point or bad point, how can they make maps like this? Thank you very much for that. We're going to pause for a second. Okay, so how, I appreciate that. I'll say thank you after this, right? How are we supposed to take them seriously when Activision, who is the masters of making Call of Duty games, and yet for some reason they just can't get the spawn points correctly? Now, maybe you're a person that's been with the company. Maybe you're a brand new person with the company, okay, and you just don't know how the maps work, okay? But even if you were a fan of Call of Duty, maybe you were 13 when the game came out and now you're 26, don't you think you would have played enough games to go, yeah, I don't want those shitty spawn points again. And when I get on that game, it's not going to happen. But yet here we are in 2023, and Modern Warfare is still making shitty-ass maps with shitty spawn points, okay? So it says it's not a great start for Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, which had a high-profile open beta last month. Overnight, a fresh report alleges that Modern Warfare 3 was developed in a year and a half, rather than a typical 3-year development cycle, leading to heavy development crunch within the studio. Okay, Modern Warfare 3's single-player campaign is seamlessly troubled, underbaked, rehashed, and collaborated together from multiple parts of Modern Warfare 3's single-player campaign is everything a Call of Duty story shouldn't be. Okay, so I've said this for years, that Call of Duty is the Madden football of first-person shooters. Okay, where they're just reusing assets. So not only did they make crappy spawn points in maps, but they also did all of this in a year and a half. And as I've said in past broadcasts, there's no difference now between an alpha, a beta, an early preview, early access, none of it. It's all the same. It doesn't matter if a game goes gold, it's all the same. It's a test. It's an alpha, it's a beta, it's a preview, it's an early access, it doesn't really matter, okay? And they'll fix it along the way. Thank you for your hard-earned money up front, day one, and we'll fix it over the next 9, 18 to 24 months. And by that time, with a Call of Duty game, it doesn't really matter at that point because, well, the next Call of Duty game is coming out next year. So it's just tick, tick, tick. Here we are, release date. Now you have 362 days before the next Call of Duty game comes out. All right, so let's go to number 2 now. Activision warns Warzone cheaters it may cut their parachutes randomly and for fun. Activision has an issue of fresh warning that Warzone cheaters it may cut their parachutes so they splat on the ground. So in a blog post responding to the concerns about cheating in Call of Duty, the launch of Modern Warfare 3, Activision explained that its new trick it has in store for cheaters is to free to download Battle Royale with a splat. If a cheater is discovered, we may randomly and for fun disable the parachute, sending them screaming down onto the ground, deploying, Activision says. It says, but what if we catch them after the deploy? Well, Splat can also adjust players' velocity, which transforms a bunny hop into a 10,000-foot drop, taking them out instantly. This is one of the many new tricks we've developed and we've talked about more in the future. Okay, it says Activision is stressed that the splat won't randomly turn on for a player that isn't verified to be cheating. Player reporting won't turn it on either. And also the game can't accidentally activate it either. So video game cheat experts recently warned Modern Warfare 3 players on PC would be riddled with cheaters. And in an investigation by IGN, we dug into this, the reasons why companies like Activision find it so hard to stop them. Well, I could tell you why they don't want to stop them. Because if they stop the cheating, then more people wouldn't play the game. And if people stop playing the game, then there's less people in the lobbies. And there's less people in the lobbies, and there's less people playing the game, and there's less people trying to buy microtransactions. Okay? It says, quote, while it's fun to annoy cheaters that make it into the game, our aim is to prevent them from ever getting near a match, Activision said before calling the players to enable two-factor authorization to secure their accounts. Activision also uses in a blog post to dig into the challenges it faces keeping cheat makers on their toes. It said that the game executable, which is also a must-send to players so they can also play Call of Duty, obviously contains detailed instructions for how the game itself works. Activision said that this was a little sending out copies of their house keys. Imagine trying to keep a bad guy who has copies of your keys from breaking into your home, and the company added. It continues by saying Activision is using Ricochet anti-cheat, and the game is harder to unlock front door and has deployed new obstruction techniques to make the game code harder and cheat makers to analyze and digital locks the entire Call of Duty executable, so it's harder for the cheat developers to modify the code and remove protections. It says, quote, this is ebb and flow of anti-cheat security, Activision explained. It continues by saying part of the issue with Modern Warfare 3 specifically is that its sequel built upon the foundation laid in its predecessors, as IGN reported. In the same way the developer might port the game to another platform, cheat makers port the cheats to sequels. This is how cheats like wall hacks and aimbots are available to Modern Warfare 3 beta before it even went live. Quote, when we take steps to stop cheaters, we readjust their process and look at the new opportunities, Activision said. The nature of multiplayer games is where our systems and servers exchange information with your computer, the client, and also make multiplayer action happen and how cheating can occur. Our anti-cheat efforts tackle each touch point in the trust process from the client to the server-side systems, enhancing the process of the machine learning from the combat to unfair play. So there you go. Modern Warfare 3 is the first Call of Duty game to launch following a Microsoft $69 billion game, but don't expect it to hit Game Pass until 2024. All right. So here's my thoughts. One, my thoughts on the Modern Warfare map thing is just laughable at this point, right? Again, Activision's a company that's been making Call of Duty for half my life. Okay, I'm 45 years old, and they've been making games for like 20-something years. And it's just laughable that they keep coming out with maps year after year with crappy spawn points, and they don't design a map to stop people from closing in and just killing and spawn killing as it is. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think it's okay for this to keep happening, especially in 2023? Like, how can a company make, I don't know how many Call of Duties there are now, and how many maps from each of those games, but they can't ever fix the spawn point situation and where people just keep coming out and killing at spawn points. And then the cheater aspect of the article, where Activision is cutting the parachutes of people, making them fall directly to earth and splat on the ground, I think it's actually kind of funny. But they do this all the time. These are just like news story after news story. The last Call of Duty, they put the hologram of players so they could find out cheaters. And then there's the other cheater program where they were doing, I forget what the other patent they were doing. And now there's the cutting of the parachute. At this point, it's just, I think they're having their own standalone game behind the scenes. They're like, yeah, we're going to make a game and let the cheaters go in, and then we're just going to have fun, messing with the cheaters. So one is putting holograms in the game to make it look like they're tripping out, so they don't know if they're actually shooting at a real person or a false person. And now they're just cutting the parachutes before they even get down to the ground. So one, if they find the cheater up in the air, they can just make them go splat. And if they do make it to the ground, then they're shooting at holograms. How do you think that leave it in the comment section down below. How do you think they could actually fix these problems? One, the map spawn issues, and two, how do they combat cheaters? Let me know in the comment section down below. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours, and see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.